Hey guys, so I definitely have only been gone for like 2 days, but I wanted to do my April reading wrap up for you today. I read 5.5 books in the month of April, and the half of a book is one that I DNF'd. I will talk about that one very last because does it count if I only read half of it? I don't think it does. But I'm gonna go through the other ones I read and that I really liked. I had a good reading month. I just didn't read as much as I did in previous months because the books that I did read this month, I wanted to just savor and like take in. The first one I read was One True Loves. And guys, when I tell you this is my favorite book I've ever read, I'm not kidding. I read this book in 2 days. I loved this book so much. So this was a 5 out of 5. If you haven't read this book, you need to. One True Loves, Taylor Jenkins Reid. So good. This was my first Taylor Jenkins Reid book that I ever read, and I loved it. Guess I'll give a little synopsis. So basically it is about this woman named Emma, and she gets married to this guy, and he goes missing. He like went on a trip, his helicopter crashed, and he goes missing, and they thought he died because they can't find him. So he's been missing for 10 years. So it's 10 years later. She's engaged to another guy named Sam, and she's at her engagement party, and basically at her engagement party, her husband calls and says he's alive. So then the whole book is her trying to figure out who she's gonna choose, who she loves more, because she can't love two people at once. And it's such a good book. It's like beautiful, tragic, everything. So I loved this book. The next book was Then She Was Gone. This is a thriller. It really kept me on my toes. I rated it a 5 out of 5. So I had 2 5-star reads this month. This story was just so thrilling. It's about this woman. Her daughter went missing like 10 years ago, I want to say. And she hasn't been able to find her, and she meets this guy, and the guy has a daughter who's younger but looks like her daughter. And she's like, what happened? Like, why does this kid look really similar to my daughter? And it's not what you'd think happened. Like, there's this crazy woman. It's just there. You read this book. It's crazy. Like, absolutely nuts. Then I read Little Fires Everywhere, and I gave this a 4 out of 5. This took forever to get going. Like, they had to introduce so many different characters. So for that, I gave it a 4 out of 5 because I did get bored at the beginning and I wanted to like quit, but then it got interesting. And basically there's like this fire at the beginning of the book, and you're trying to like figure out what happened to lead to this fire. And there's like this woman, and she just likes to be up in everybody's business and find out things about people, and it's crazy. Then I read Uglies by Scott Westerfeld. This is a series I've been wanting to read, and sadly I gave this a 3 out of 5. I was really excited to read this, and then I didn't like it as much as I thought I would, but I am still going to continue. If it doesn't get better by the second book, I'm going to DNF the series. But Uglies is about this girl named Tally, and she lives in like this society where people are turning pretty, and if you're not pretty, you kind of get shunned. You have to have like the same, like a perfect face and like a perfect body to like be living in this town. So she meets this friend, and they go to this other world, but there's like people like looking for them because they're not supposed to escape their society. It's intense, but it got kind of long and kind of boring at some parts. So that's why I gave it a 3. And my most recent read of the month was Hopeless by Colleen Hoover. I gave this a 3 as well, but I really do have hope for the rest of the series. So this is about a girl named Sky, and she has a lot of trauma in her past, and she meets this guy named Dean Holder, and he also has a lot of trauma in his past, and they kind of bond over their trauma, and then they find out like family secrets and stuff, and they find out like what really happened for like one of the I can't tell you that much because I don't want to give away the story, but it's intense. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 because it has a lot of potential. I think the series is going to get better. And then finally, the one I DNF'd was called If I Fall by Anne Thorogood. And it was supposed to be a love story, and I feel like the first 6 chapters, yes, there's only 10 chapters. They're all an hour long. And I just feel like the first 6 chapters were just her complaining about her job and her boss, and sprinkled in with a little bit of like lust for this man. But other than that, really boring book. It's a free audiobook for audiobooks.com, and I hated it. So yeah, that is my reading wrap up for April. It was pretty short this month because I had a lot going on in April, so I didn't read as much, and I also wanted to like savor my books and take in all the stories, and I'm kind of doing that in May as well. So I will see you next month for another reading wrap up. Thank you so much for watching this video. Stay beautiful. Bye.